My name is Scott Bennett. Back in 2023, I had an emergency heart transplant that saved my life and changed my life. Now I'm having conversations about life that get straight to the heart of it. Day 1201, and every time I hit kind of what I call a big marker, which is like 100-day increments. I'm glad I get 100-day increments. I take a minute, and yesterday it occurred to me it was day 1200. I kind of knew it was coming, and I just wanted to just call out before I introduce today's guest just how grateful I am, and take a second to honor my generous donor, Cody. Wouldn't be able to do this podcast, have interesting guests, if it wasn't for the opportunity to borrow the heart so I could have all of these extra days. So I just periodically do that. I think the reason I wanted to share it on the podcast is that some people saw my social post and reflected that how meaningful it was. And we don't do enough to call it donors, and there certainly are not enough donors. And so just happy that we're at the heart of it, but the heart of it wouldn't be the heart of it without Cody lending his heart to it. So as we get into today's guest, I have to take a second, and you never know. I'm so blessed, as I've said in previous episodes, to have fascinating friends, but sometimes it's friends who reach out to me who have paid attention to the podcast and introduce me to others. And this particular guest today, she is somebody that I would have never in a million years thought I would be talking to. Not something I would have even considered having on the podcast, but we will talk a little bit about our connection. And I'm happy to be joined today by Elle Riley. Welcome, Elle.
Hi. It's so nice to be here today. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Well, we're glad to have you. And we just have to say, for those that are by chance watching this on video or seeing the reels, for sure the best background, that is a real background. You are in Colorado, right?
I sure am. I'm in Carbondale, Colorado right now.
And picked a pretty background for us to have this conversation. So it's not filtered, in today's AI world and all the backgrounds you can put in. She's got a real, true American Colorado background. So, Elle, we're glad you're here. And just for all those that are listening, I was never expecting to get a phone call, but there are people do call me and they pay attention. And I love it when people share relationships with me. And certainly we'll talk about your crown and your sash and all of that, why you're wearing it for those that are seeing it. And obviously, but just a little bit about how, from your perspective, how we know each other.
I have a family friend named Liz Pitcher, and I was talking to her about my platform because she has a history with organ donation, because that's what my platform is all about. And she said, you know what? I have this friend and I would love for you to talk to him. He might even get you on his podcast. And I was like, well, that would be cool. And so here we are today, and I'm so excited for that connection.
We'll talk about what your platform is and what does that even mean. But you are wearing a sash and a crown. Also, my first guest to be doing that. So we love that you're wearing it. But let's talk about what you are. You're Miss Texas Volunteer. And I just want you to know, and those that are listening, that when Liz connected us, I read a text message said, I think it would be interesting if you met this young woman. She's doing something really interesting that's related to organ donation, organ transplant, how it's touched her life. And my ears always perk up when I hear those stories. I want to do everything I can to shine a light. But when I first read it, it said I just read the Miss Texas part, not the volunteer, which, by the way, which is way better. But I'm like, oh, this will be fun, Miss Texas. And then as we got to talking, I thought you explained. So share with us what Miss Texas Volunteer is and why you're doing it and all about the organization.
So I did compete in a pageant, and it's a scholarship pageant. And there's different systems, and I competed in the Volunteer America system to win my title. And this is my 4-week mark of I've been crowned for 4 weeks officially. So still really fresh, but I'm hit the ground running. And we are all about giving back to our community and supporting people in need. And so our national sponsors are the Salvation Army and St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital. And we do a lot of work alongside them, and it's amazing because our organization is a nonprofit, and we do see direct impact with all of the things that we're doing, whether it's volunteering or raising money, because it's going directly to those kids. And so it's a really neat opportunity. I'm looking forward to the rest of the year with this. But another cool thing that I think people don't know about pageantry is that a lot of them are scholarship programs like this. I won over $5,000 whenever I won, and I'm putting that towards my senior year at the University of Texas. And I'm so excited and thankful for this opportunity to chase my educational dreams as well.
Well, I loved when you said that, because as I was, hearing your story when we talked on the phone, unbeknownst to me, you were explaining. So I had a lot of questions. I asked if this was affiliated with the broader pageants of the world. Like I haven't
Mhm.
stayed in tune, and we will talk a little bit about pageantry and sort of what perception versus reality from your perspective. But you talked a little bit about pageantry, and I think a lot of people know the Miss Universe and potentially
Right.
the Miss USA pageant since we're in the USA. Is this affiliated in any way? Is it a separate entity? Talk about that.
Yeah, so we are completely separate. I feel like a lot of people know about Miss America, they know about Miss USA, which is a part of Miss Universe. But Miss America stops at America, USA goes on to Universe, and we stop at Miss Volunteer America. And so they're just different organizations. America is also a scholarship program, but it is a for-profit program. And then Miss USA, it's more modeling. And so it's just different areas for women to go and grow and achieve big things, but they each do unique things for the women. So it's really interesting to look into. And if you're interested in pageantry, definitely do your research because there's so many opportunities within each system.
As a young woman, I mean, I have two daughters, right? So they love to dress up as the princesses. You know, we went to Disneyland. I mean, there's always
Yeah.
this fashion, but you're wearing an actual crown and a sash and all that goes with it. But did you ever think in a million years this would be what something you would be involved with or do?
Oh, heck no. I mean, the first time I did a pageant, I was a freshman in college. And the reason I did it was because I was in a really dark place when I graduated high school. My parents went through a really messy divorce and it left me feeling shattered. And so I took a year and I went to Austin Community College to try to get into UT because I wanted grades that I could be proud of. Because in high school, I was going to class and I was learning, but I wasn't caring as much about the grades because I would go home to a dysfunctional family. And I took my freshman year of college to chase every single new hobby, opportunity, just chance to grow myself. And I actually ended up taking 44 credits my first year, which is really cool to say.
That's a lot.
And one
Yeah.
of those, it is a lot. But pageantry was one of those new hobbies. And I've discovered so many things for myself. Pageantry is the first time that I really saw myself as Elle Riley and not Brenna and Michael's daughter. And so that's a really cool opportunity for me. And that moment looks different for every single girl that competes, but every single woman that competes grows in crazy ways.
Yeah, I'm sure it exposes you, right? I think when we talked, you mentioned outside of what I think is excellent, right? Some of the scholarship opportunities, right, to be able to
Mm-hmm.
afford and pay for education. So while you're doing good work, we'll talk a little bit about your platform and why we're so connected there. But you obviously the broader missions are some very nationally recognized philanthropic endeavors, and then each one of the individuals in representing other states has their own platform, right? I mean, that's just in and of itself. There can be nothing bad about the service work as a broad organization or you as an individual are discovering, learning, and what a better thing, right? To be able to
Mm-hmm.
make some dollars to help you grow and learn, and then reinvest some of yourself into that. So let's talk a little bit, which really brought us together, about why your platform means a lot to sort of me, my journey, and
Mm-hmm.
what you've decided to pour your efforts into in this year of representing Miss Texas Volunteer.
Right. So my platform, my serve initiative is called A Hopeful Heart. And I chose to make my Hopeful Heart Serve initiative all about blood and organ donation awareness because my little cousin Birdie was born with HLHS, which means that half of her left side of her heart wasn't working. And she had the unique situation where it was not only half not working, but it was upside down and backwards. So we knew that she had her work cut out for her from the very beginning. And from the moment she was born, she had countless open heart surgeries. And then it got to a point where the doctor said that she needed a new heart. And that was a really scary thing for us because Birdie was 3. And the only thing that truly got us through was our faith and having hope that everything would work out for a greater cause. And this past April, Birdie did end up passing away because she needed a new heart and she was not able to receive it. And she was not able to donate any of her organs because she passed away due to organ failure. But understanding the whole process and living that with her and seeing how many lives she was able to touch, well, just her 3 years of life, it's incredible. And we want to give hope to the families that are waiting for the miracle and make more miracles happen for other families. And so my family has made it a dedication for us to keep Birdie's legacy alive and advocate for her because she isn't able to do that anymore.
And I bet you never thought in a million years. I mean, I know you're beginning to do a lot of work in the space, and I think probably meeting me in the conversation that you would talk to somebody who's at the other end, right? I was able to
Hmm.
blessed 1,201 days ago to receive a generous gift from a donor. And you're right. There's always many thousand people waiting that are unfortunately not able to receive that gift, and there's not enough donors. That the qualified donors, there's plenty of donors, but it's a logistical puzzle. So you're learning a lot about that. So I was extremely impressed that that's what you've taken on, and here we are connecting, and we'll have a friendship as a result of it. And I think the work you're doing
Absolutely.
is amazing. So let's talk a little bit about some other things that we have in common. You mentioned you're going to be a senior at the University of Texas, and what are you studying?
I sure am, and I'm a senior, and I'm studying corporate communication at the Moody College, and I have a business minor, and I love it.
And I did the exact same thing. So that was another thing. I went to the University of Texas, a Moody student. Go Longhorns, hook 'em. But I was impressed by sort of the idea that you're going to be a senior. I think you're active in the Greek system. I'm
Yes,
sure
I am.
a lot of other organizations. So tell me, here we are. We're entering the 26-27 school year. I have two daughters who are now. I'm a proud dad of two college graduates. My younger daughter, I think I've shared with you, went to UT. But what is your favorite or most interesting thing that has changed from the first years in Austin till this upcoming year? Like, is there anything that you just stands out for you about UT, the
Ooh.
campus, or any of it?
So I moved to Austin in eighth grade, and I will never forget whenever I moved from Greater Austin to on campus. I felt like I was in a completely new city. And I think just learning more about our city has been one of my favorite things because UT campus, it's not like A&M, it's not like TCU, but at the same time, it does have a very campus vibe to it. And I just love it so much. I also love the fact that it's not a college town because there's so many new things to try around me and fun things to do, and it's amazing.
It's funny. I have a different take on it, but that's
Oh.
that's the difference in our age. Because no, I had a daughter that was there at this same experience as you, right?
Hmm.
That you can't see from one building to the next because West Campus has a bunch of high rises. But when I was in school, it was not at all like that. It was very much a college town. Yes, it was the state capital. Um, I mean, I think from the time I was in school till I would say 10, 12 years ago, we would like to say that Matthew McConaughey gets credit, but way before that, the Keep Austin Weird was a big thing. People were really intrigued by Austin. I think that those days, I think they're trying hard to keep it weird, but it is certainly not
It's
the
definitely
Austin.
still weird. Trust.
Yeah. Okay, good. Well, that's good to hear. That's one of the beautiful things about Austin. It's an anomaly in the state of Texas. It is you can kind of find anything you want in the city. Okay, so talk to me about favorite class that you've taken in the 4 years, or what you might be taking this year that you're really excited about.
My favorite class is hands down John Daly's class about interpersonal
Ah,
communication.
favorite class. He was my professor, and that's why we
No
never talked
way.
about that. Yeah, yes, he was. And I have a book that's coming out in October, and I talk about Professor Daly in the book. It was interpersonal communication, still the same class. I actually took a class from him for another project about 9 years ago. He was in this extra program that I was part of, so I got to see Professor Daly again. He got married to his wife. I think they're still married. She was in the college, Anita
They are.
Evangelisti. So they were. I mean, he still looks the same age today as he did then. By the way,
Shut
and I am a lot older than you. Best class ever.
up.
Best
No,
class.
seriously, because he was one of those classes that didn't take attendance, and I did not miss a single one because I enjoyed going to his class. He made going to his class feeling like I was in a TV show almost because he's
Yeah.
so engaging. And what was really impressive is that was my first like 200-person class, and he knew everybody's names. He knew
Yeah.
us by name, and
Yeah.
that is something that I
It
will
was a much
never
bigger
forget.
section. It was really hard to get. I took it early I took it in my sophomore year, but he looks like you probably won't know who this is, but he looks like a guy named Phil Donahue, who was a famous talk shows. He had white hair, just like Professor Daly. But
Uh-huh.
it's a class that I still use. I know that the subject matter has changed because interpersonal communication. There was no social media when I was taking his class,
Right.
so it is way different how he's had to adapt his. But he is one of the best.
I took his
So that's
last
funny.
class at UT. I'm so sad that I can't recommend more people to take his class, but he doesn't teach at UT Austin anymore. I think he either retired or he moved to Washington, D.C.
Yeah, I'm not surprised, but he does a lot of leadership stuff. I was in a program, but
Mm-hmm.
he is it profoundly was one of the most important classes I took in college, and I think about some of the lessons learned. I would have liked to gone back and take it like when you were, because social media could have
It
really
was
helped.
so interesting, and it really makes you. What I love about being a communication major is with my generation, it's dying. People can't hold a conversation they used to, and so hearing him talk about that communication on such a micro level
Right.
and all the science and brain, everything that goes behind it was so interesting to me. And it's something that I think about whenever I meet somebody new. I'm like thinking about, oh, why do they respond this way? And that might just be me, but I loved his class for that reason specifically.
And as we think about what you're doing, I'm any thoughts about what you're going to do? I know right now it seems like you're focused on your pageantry in this year and graduating college. What might be your future as a result of, with a communications degree today and a business minor? Where do you see yourself professionally?
So this is my senior internship in a way, and it's because I want to talk about the way that I grew the pageant and the opportunities I was able to do, but I wanted to address the need that I fixed. And I am a very go with the flow person, and I know that if I am doing some sort of work, whether it's nonprofit or it's a service that I'm selling that I know will make an impact on somebody else's life, then I will be happy. I don't know exactly what I'm doing. I'm doing a lot of research right now for this semester, and then next semester, I'll set up a lot of interviews after my nationals competition to just in case I don't win, but just to get those interviews going because I'm so excited. And a lot of my friends are nervous to graduate. I'm pumped, not because I haven't loved my time here, but I just know that I'm so prepared to take on whatever the next step is, and I'm really excited. And I think I want to do something specifically. I would love to do something in nonprofit. I've thought about going down the organ donation rabbit hole of seeing what jobs lie there, but also I don't know. I'm so excited. I just want to be connecting with people. I know that for sure. Whether it's
Yeah.
marketing, I love strategic branding too, and that's something that I've been able to really focus on with this title because I'm thinking, how do I want to brand myself for the judges? How do I want girls to see this pageant whenever they come across my Instagram? What do I want them to remember from me, but not only what it means to be a title holder? So I don't know exactly what I want to do, but to me, that's more comforting than having an exact plan because I know that whatever comes my way will be an opened door and it'll work out.
To learn more about Elle Riley or to get in touch with her, you can follow her on Instagram at Miss TX Volunteer.
Well, one of the things that when I was introduced to you that I mentioned to you, just because of the difference in our ages, is potentially there's a little bit of a negative perception about pageantry. So I think between what you're experiencing, we talk a little bit about social media with Professor Daly and why that is. And this is not any sort of a political statement, but obviously Donald Trump at one point was really involved with the pageant, Miss Universe and promotion. And
Mhm.
I think the what's at odds, and would love to get your perception on this, is the objectification of women, right? Like, um, as I grew up, and I would see those pageants, and of course I had sisters. Women would come out; they would come out in a bathing suit. They were not looked at, and I think it's gone through a little bit of a misunderstanding. So I'd love for you just to talk a little bit about that, because you talked about your platform and what young other women can learn from you. So just your thoughts about when I shared that with you. Maybe you had heard that, maybe you hadn't, but just like what
Absolutely.
what is your take on it in this modern era, and as you see it?
Well, first and foremost, I feel like there's just a shift in focus throughout generations. And a lot of women felt underrepresented and they thought that this was just a chance for men to look at women. And that's just the biggest misconception to possibly happen with pageants because it's all about growing women's communication skills, making them better leaders, pushing them to advocate for something that's bigger than themselves, and letting them do something that they're proud of and just motivating them to do better in general. And it offers scholarship dollars. And something that I talk about all of this whenever I'm recruiting girls, but specifically the fitness portion because volunteer for the Miss, not the teen, but the Miss, we do compete in swimsuit for fitness. And what I say is, look, they're not judging you on being a size zero. that's not what's important. What is important that is that you're healthy, because my job is busy. I do 4 to 7 appearances a week, and you, in order to do that and keep up with school and also like little side hustles, you have to be healthy, because otherwise your body's going to get sick, you're going to get run down. And that's what the fitness is. It's showing that you're able to show up every day for yourself and for your health, and that you're able to take on the job. It's not about being a certain size, because everybody's health looks different. Some people have things like lupus where it's harder for them to work out. But there's a difference between being overweight and not living a healthy lifestyle versus being a bigger size and being healthy, because that's expected for different people with different genetics and all of that. It makes me really sad when people just see the swimsuit and they're like, oh, you have to be skinny. You don't. That's not what it's about. It's about being healthy. It's not about being a certain size. I feel like that's a common misconception that puts pageants in a bad light, because people don't take the time to realize that they're competing in fitness. They're not competing in swimsuit, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, what intrigued me when we talked a lot about your platform and why you were doing this, and for Birdie and for the awareness, and I think you're still learning where that fits for you, right? That's part of your work over this year, and hope that knowing me and sort of perspective, and maybe that will help in some respects how what you choose to do. But only later did I ask at the end of our conversation, what were the competitions, right? Like I really I clearly do not follow pageantry, never in a million years thought I would be doing this, as I said, but I opened my eyes, right? So I went and looked into this a little bit, like, what is it? And mostly what I could hear from you, and I think I'm hearing today, is just how it's giving you a renewed sense of purpose about your own self, right? Your relationship with self. And you talked very openly, which I admire, about a young person, about a dysfunctional upbringing. But listen, I would say that all of us, like, our parents do the best they can. As a dad, I jokingly say my daughters, may later blame me, and I just will tell them I did the best I can. But this is an opportunity for you to get your own voice, find your own voice. And I think you've done that. And I think this platform is the most compelling part, right? Like the broader organization has a platform and you have your own. And I think that will serve you well.
It allows every girl to make it personal, which I think is really cool. And the reason that I'm totally okay to talk about what I went through in high school, because it was a lot. It was 5.5 years. But the reason I am so more than just okay to talk about is because I know that there is somebody, whether it's a girl or a boy or somebody who's in the midst of it or is healing from it, that they might hear this and relate to it. And if they see that I've achieved something as a state title, then it can give them hope. It can let them see that they still have purpose, and they can turn that pain into purpose through things like this. And also, I wanted to say this because I didn't answer it in your question earlier, and what you said reminded me about it. The other misconception is that it's a beauty pageant, and that's not what it is. You do need to be polished, but being professional is also being polished and showing up on time and showing up wearing the appropriate thing. And you have to be smart to do well. That's the thing that I don't think people understand, because you have to be smart in interview. They're going to ask you any question that they can think of about you, what you stand for, what you want to do with the title, and they could even ask you something political. And it is so important that you showcase that not only are you smart, but you know current events, you know things that are going on in the world around you, because that's what a leader should know. And you are auditioning essentially to be a leader. And so that's the other thing that I love about this, because it gives you purpose and it pushes you and motivates you to make good grades, to go to high schools and talk about college. Whenever I talked to a high school the other day, and I talked about scholarship and I talked about college, and that was the first time that those girls had heard about college. And that's why I love doing this, because it allows
you to be a model, right? And I think everybody has the opportunity to do that. But I think you taking it seriously. I think that occurred to me. And I wanted to ask you something. I know a lot of what we talk about, a lot of what this is all related to service. I've had this strong feeling about introduction to service. As I raised my daughters, there was a lot of organized efforts When I was growing up, it used to be churches, and you could always find a philanthropic, and some parents pushed their kids, others did not. Schools had that. You could find service work, that suited you, whether it was Habitat for Humanity. And then as I raised my girls and introduced them, it was almost like they had to be part of a group to do something good. And I wonder what your thoughts are about that. And I'm specifically talking, it's hard to say that any service work could be bad, right? If people are getting together, there's nothing bad about it, but just about finding something for individuals, whether they're your age or my age, because it's something that I really believe in. I think I've always had this idea that everybody can find one thing. It doesn't have to be the same thing over the course of your life. I mean, never did I think organ donation was going to be because I had done stuff for MS. I'm a big brother for a 13-year-old boy. It's moved with me throughout my life, and I've picked up different. So just thoughts about that as an individual, because it sounds like this is kind of your first step, but how important is that? And do you perceive it will be for you?
Are you like just volunteering in general?
Yeah, but, well, I call service work. It's volunteer. Yes. It's mission and cause related work.
Absolutely. I feel like a big thing that has made people not as eager to volunteer today is social media, because everybody for a long time, they've been chasing this perfect image on Instagram or Facebook, and that doesn't always look like getting down and feeding the homeless. That could look as a trying to achieve this certain image. And I feel like it's a dying thing. And I love opportunities to bring people together to serve each other and to serve others, because you're going to leave transformed and grown every single time. You're not going to do something and walk away the same person that you were at the beginning of that, even if it's something as simple as putting together angel tree gifts. And so I love opportunities like this because it encourages people to get involved in their community, to learn about their neighbor. And that is another thing that I think is really dying, just communication and connection in general. And this pushes people to bring that back to life. I think it's a really cool opportunity that I am really excited.
Well, since you mentioned social media, and we are looking at this from very different seats. I mean, I've been a dad of two daughters, and we were remarking over the weekend with my younger daughter about the age of when she got her first iPhone, and it shocked my wife and I. We forgot, and then we got into this whole conversation of why we did it. There was some peer pressure.
How old was she when she got it?
She was in fifth grade, and we were appalled at ourselves. We were like, why were we doing that? Because now, of course, hindsight is 2020. Like, why was that a good idea, right? But now we go to restaurants and we see kids on tablets, whether or not they're connected socially with friends. So let's just talk about, at a very broad level, from a young woman, and originally you moved to Austin, but you from Odessa, right?
I sure am.
Odessa, Texas. Okay. From a small town, relatively speaking.
West Texas girly.
West Texas girl. You grew up with social media. So just broadly, like your hot sports opinion about social media. And you could give the pageant answer, but I hope you'll give the real answer, because this is a podcast. We're not judging you.
Well, I mean, there's so many ways I could go with this. I'm trying to think of what I want to say. From a branding standpoint, I think it's awesome because you're able to connect and share with so many things. And that's not just pageantry, that's any business. I think it's really cool to be able to connect with anybody from different age groups just by what you're posting. But whenever it comes down to teenagers and middle schoolers and them getting on social media, it's really scary, because I remember, and this has to do with pageants, but it's not a pageant answer, but whenever I was competing with Miss America, I was Miss Capel, and my best friend was Miss Queen of the South's team, and she's like a little sister to me, and so I was helping her to start her Instagram, and I created her new Instagram on my phone so I could have access to it because she was 14 years old, and the first thing that Instagram started pushing was things about porn and very sexual things. And this had nothing to do with my search because it was a new profile. This had nothing to do with Sloan's search because I hadn't even been on her phone yet. But this is what these social media platforms push towards people when they first get a social media account. And so as an adult, it's great for branding. As a big sister and a big cousin, you have to be really careful what you expose your children to, because they're not the problem. Honestly, it is the social media. It's the lack of protection that you're even able to give them, because there's only so much you can do. And my teen right now, Miss Texas Teen Volunteer, her platform is all about hang up and hang out. And she encourages teens to get off their phone more. And it's because she developed an eating disorder. since she was on TikTok, and she was just seeing all these skinny girls that she thought was pretty. So she was going down a rabbit hole of what their profile was. And then her TikTok started pushing her information about how to eat less, what to do if you want to look a certain way. And it was also during COVID. So you're sitting at home, you're not able to leave. And she developed a really unhealthy relationship with food. And so she advocates for parents to be more involved in social media and with phones with their children, because it's a slippery slope. It's not going anywhere. So I don't think keeping them from it completely is the answer, because they're going to have to get on at some point, whether it's for a job or for school. But it's really important to teach them what to do with it.
Elle, since you brought up social media, I just have to ask, like, I have a totally different perspective having raised two daughters and sort of their experience. I mean, it's obviously it's evolved over time, more platforms, you know, just it's pervasive in everything that we do. And listen, it has plenty of positive benefits, but as somebody who's grown up with it, and now, you talked a little bit about your personal brand, your Instagram being visible to the world with your platform. Just talk about your perspective on social media.
Well, from somebody who's a college student who studies it, I think it's great, whether it's a business, something like pageantry. It's amazing to it's really interesting to me to understand audiences and how to have strategic branding and what you want to put out there, because whenever I post something on social media, I always think about what do I want people to think about whenever they see me as Miss Texas Volunteer, but then also what do I want them to know about my serve initiative or the pageant system, aside from just who I am. But I know how to use social media. I've grown up with it, and what I do stress to my aunts and my mom as a big sister and an older cousin is that it's really important what we expose the younger generation to, because it's not going anywhere. So I don't think it's a good idea to keep it from them. But they need to be literate in social media. And what I mean is they need to know how to use it properly and what to do whenever something negative pops up, because the issue isn't the kids being on social media and getting curious, it's the social media platform itself. And the example that I have to show this is whenever I was competing in the America system at Texas, I was Miss Capel. And my best family friend, she was Miss Queen of the South team. And I was creating her social media account and having it attached to my phone because she was 14 and she didn't know how to work it. And I started her account. I did all the correct branding stuff for the bio. And then I started to go through her Instagram For You page. And what I saw was shocking. They were pushing things that were porn or OnlyFans models or very sexualized images just because it was a new account. It had nothing to do with my account or my past searches, had nothing to do with Sloane's account because she hadn't even received the account on her phone. It's just what the program.
And obviously, you said that social media is not going anywhere. So I'm just curious, what would you do if you did not have your phone for a week? How would you be able to function if you had to put away your phone and all connection, like in the social sphere, in the social world? Could you live without that for a week?
If you would have asked me this whenever I was a 6th or 7th grader, I would have said no. But now, absolutely. I'm not addicted to it. I do catch myself doom scrolling, but ever since I became a title holder, I see it more like a job. I don't see it as, oh, I get to post. I'm so nervous to post. I'm like, I need to post 4 to 7 times every single week. And what am I going to do to strategically post the things that I want people to know about me and what I'm standing for? And so I would absolutely love a camping trip without a phone.
All right. Yeah, it's good, right? I mean, it's one of those things that, it's become so part of your life. It's almost like it's work itself. Like if you want to be out there, and really you mentioned the lack of connection. And I think Professor Daly would tell you and I, sort of like how we met organically, right? A friend introduced us. We talked in a conversation on the phone, didn't have a FaceTime. We just had we had a long conversation for me to say it was great. Right. And you did
Yeah.
awesome. And I also just think like, you know, it isn't going away. It has its benefits, but I do think as time goes on, people recognize there is, sometimes too much is too much. And I think we're still finding our way as a society with mobile phones. Okay. Mexican or barbecue when it comes to food, which is your favorite?
Mexican food. I think I could eat fajitas every single day.
Me
I
too.
think it's because I grew up in Odessa
Yep.
and we have a lot of Mexican food in Odessa.
Yeah. Okay. What's the most interesting thing outside of the pageant that's happened to you in the last year? It could be anything, like just something fascinating that you can't believe as you look back at the year behind you. Somebody you met, something that you were part of, a show you saw, something.
I got to be so for my 21st birthday, my gift was we went to New York and I got to go to Gutfeld in person, and it was really cool to see how it was filmed and just everything. Like, I don't know, watching live TV go on was a really cool experience. And there's so many things behind the scenes that you have no idea about, like how many times they film something, how they edit it, how they have to have the audience say something specifically. And so it was something that was really interesting.
Awesome. What is your guilty pleasure? Something that you do, like, I mean, obviously you're a student, but is there anything that you do, is there that's just like how you sort of carve out unique to you that you just love?
I love going to comedy clubs, and Austin has a lot of them. I've been going to the Comedy Mothership, and I really want to try out Esther's Follies. My mom said it's like the OG Austin place.
It is.
But comedy clubs are just so fun. And what I like about Comedy Mothership is that they take your phones when you walk in. And they put them in these magnetic sleeves, and you cannot have them. And I'm not going to lie, the first time it kind of freaked me out because I was like, what if my mom calls me or something like that? But I'm still here. My mom's not mad. It all worked out.
Do you have a favorite comedian? Like national, somebody that you just love?
No, but I did meet Shane Gillis once.
Yeah.
We ran into him at a restaurant.
Yeah, that's funny. Okay.
But the comedy shows that I like going to are the ones of the upcoming comedians.
Yeah.
Because they're still working really hard and they're funnier.
There's a great show on Netflix. I don't know how well it's doing, but Kevin Hart, it's like it's a competition, and he travels from New York to New York, LA, and Chicago to try to find the next, and there's the winner. It's like an American Idol for comedians. It's awesome, funny. So they do a 5-minute set, and it's pretty good.
Wait, no, that sounds like so much fun, because also it's short enough to where if you don't like the comedian, you're gonna have the next person on. So I love it.
It's just that the show, the way when you're watching the show, you see their material, like the stress that they're through, because there's a whole art form to it, right? I mean, it takes a lot to put yourself out there, just like you do in pageantry. But they're testing material. What do people think's funny? What style of comedy? So that's interesting. Okay, Ella Langley or Taylor Swift?
Ella Langley.
Ooh.
I love Taylor Swift's old things, but I'm not a big Swiftie, even though we share the same birthday. Fun fact.
Yeah, I never asked anybody else that question, but it seemed appropriate for you, given just where you're from, what you're doing. I wasn't sure what you might say, so that's why I threw that one in for you.
Well, also, I've heard really good things about her, because my uncle's in Flatland Cavalry, and he started it with Cleto. My uncle's Jason, the drummer, and he started with Cleto, the lead singer, and his wife is best friends with Ella. And so I hope to meet her one day. She seems really cool.
Well, I love the answers, and I'm really glad that we were introduced. I never in my wildest dreams did I A, think I was going to get a heart transplant, or B, ever be interviewing a pageant contestant. But here you are, and here I am. And I think your mission work that made me say, yeah, let's have a conversation. Why you're doing it, what you're doing. I think you're going to learn a lot, obviously through pageantry, but more importantly, I think the mission that you're on to commemorate your birdie, is wonderful. So to be commended, and glad that I got to know you. If people want to follow you on social media or your journey, what's the best way for them to learn about you?
So my title holder account is MISSTX Volunteer, like Miss Texas Volunteer. And then my Instagram handle, I should probably change this, but it's ELLEADAIRRYLEE. It's my first, middle, and last name.
Yeah, only the young people are doing that whole thing, but in case they want to find you. Well, listen, Elle, it's been an awesome conversation. Grateful to know you and to share your experience, your journey, your unique perspective on Texas, all the things we have in common. Listen, I mean, two people from completely different, but so much in common. I think Absolutely. Professor Daly would be very proud of both of us. So that's fun. And just thanks for joining Heart of It.
And thank you so much for having me. It's been so much fun. And I feel like I also grew just about my communication skills in general. Every time it's another chance to grow.
Thanks.